All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. My name is John Posey, the Air Director here for the CBMC Metro Atlanta. We've got some of our team members on, which I'll introduce some of them. And we're just glad to have you with us today. Some of you folks know us pretty well. Some of you are just getting to know us. And again, this is about our first annual prayer breakfast. First annual prayer breakfast, and that's what it's about. And this was our first one, and so we're looking forward to planning for next year. Actually, we've already started next year, and people talk about. I've got a lot of good reports and feedback on it. And one of the reasons why, it went so well is because CBMC is a well-established ministry over 92 years. We're in 100 countries and 380 cities in the US. And when I was looking to do this event, I asked, who is the best in the country that, has, done these events for a while.
You got it, because it looks like, oh man, don't it?
And so with that being said, they told me Oklahoma City is the best at it. They've been doing it for 40 years. And I'm bringing this up because the culture of our ministry is about using and leveraging experience to accelerate, your growth and your development. And whether that's talking about a senior man, a woman who's walking with God and in business and building themselves and their business, their families, and so forth, and learning, spending time with a young professional, man or woman, and then pouring into that person. And I always tell young people, I always tell young men, I say, you're going to learn. You just have to decide how you're going to learn. You're going to learn that you do all this yourself, learn all this yourself, bump your head up against the wall, have your own scar tissue. You're going to do some things just in life, but would you be interested in learning a little bit from others who've already done that? I always tell guys, I was at a meeting. We have a new team in Kennesaw. We actually have some seats open there. But I was telling the young men there, I said, now, none of you guys have to be in the car at 3:00 in the morning in the dead of winter in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is where I'm from, mad at your wife, because I've already done that. And I shared the story, what that looked like. And so they just laughed. But again, it's all about experience, okay? Learning from. So that being said, I learned that Oklahoma City was the best at it. And so I flew, and go ahead and mute your lines, if you will, please. And then we'll have you raise your hand for questions and comments. So I flew to Oklahoma City, and this was in April. I flew to Oklahoma City, and they had an event that they've been doing for 40 years. Get that, 40 years. 40 years. Okay. Why wouldn't I learn from somebody who's been doing it for 40 years? So I got in the car, in the plane, and came up there on a Sunday night because I wanted to be there Monday when they were doing all their pre-meeting planning. Their event was on a Wednesday, and then they did some things after, and I wanted to see the whole thing. You learn. I think we all understand. You learn when you watch other people do it well. You learn. And so I did. I was there, not in the way. I was there asking questions. I was there serving. Again, that's the other part, serving, being a servant leader. These are things that we've been teaching for years, for decades as an organization. So I wasn't just there to take, I was there to serve as well. What can I do? And I served in different capacities, and I was able to have conversations with people because of that. And I watched everything happen. It was an amazing experience. Gary Pernice, who's my my events director, he flew up there with me, and we both took notes and we talked, and in between meetings, and we met and we put some things together. And so, honestly, a lot of things that you saw were things that we just simply learned from Oklahoma City. They gave us all their docs, they gave us all their systems, all their processes, all their documentations, all their marketing collateral. We took a pile of stuff back, and we began to build this out. And I wanted to say that it took a little extra time, but it really demonstrates the culture that we're endeavoring to build here. And that is a culture of, bringing together senior professional people, and first of all, ministering to those people, serving those people, addressing any issues and things that they may have going on in their own lives, and doing our best to bring them to a place of wholeness and health, and then engage in these, we call MPs, mature professionals, to train, mentor, encourage, develop, and deploy millennials for marketplace impact and transformation. We are. It's not about training a millennial. We call young professionals. It's not about training them to be successful. It's about training them to be significant. And that's a different. Success is about you, and honestly, however you define success, you can hurt a lot of people being successful. But when you build a life of significance, then it's about the value that you can bring to another person. Like we talk about marriage a lot. I'm married to my wife. She's on here 43 years. And one of the things that we've done for each other is how can we serve each other? What are things that we work from a marriage plan that we've had in action and working for the last 25 years, and once a year we discuss things that we want to see accomplished next year from an individual basis, because she can't live her entire life for me, and that's all about me. So, but what does Sandra want? Well, what's important to her? Then what's important to me? And then what's important to us? And we build a plan around that. And we pray together about it, and we write scriptures and look at Bible verses and write prayers and build strategy, and we learn from other people. And we've been doing this, for a number of years. And so we talk to our YPs. That's what young professional means. We talk to our YPs about that. Devin's on this today. Devin, am I telling the truth there? Do we actually do this? Could you share a little bit about what you do first, and then just kind of talk for a minute. This is Devin Simpson. He's my original YP. He's my first guy actually, got to be a part of this. Go ahead, Devin.
Yeah. Thanks, John. First of all, I'm Devin Simpson, and I run a virtual personal training business and help people go after and arrive at the fitness level they desire to have. And no, he's right. I joined back in 2019, and I was different back then. I was really seeking what John is talking about, older, wiser men to help me not make those mistakes, that I didn't have to make, experienced older men. And when I met John, I was single. This is just an example of something that CBMC helped me through. I was single and not ready to settle, and I met a girl, and she was the right one, and John helped walk me through that process. I just didn't have anybody else during the time to help me figure that out, how to go from single to dating to married. And here I am now. I'm 2 years into marriage, and John and Sandra have been like helping us through that. And I've had mentors, and every month, we have a different speaker and prayer partner. And I can honestly say, I would not be near where I am today if it wasn't for CBMC, for John, for everybody that's poured into me through this ministry. And now we have a few other chows on too. We're now leading others through the process of discipleship with Operation Timothy that CBMC, one of the resources that they offer. So, John's completely right. And I'm just, having gone through it, I'm inspired now to get more guys on board, next year and the year after that, and really build. And that's what I see. I mean, it's gone from nothing. I mean, John, I feel like I was the first one, and I think he tried to get rid of me because I was too young for the group, and I stuck around, and now he created these, other YP groups now, and there's just tons of us. But no,
that's really good. I've got somebody actually trying to get on. Give me just a second, gang. Hey, James Chow is one of my. He's a YP. He's one of my chief recruiters, actually. And I'm saying this because this is about a culture, this is about an ecosystem, this is about an environment. It's important that we are a part of a growth environment, and it's important that we contribute to that environment, and it's important that we bring people into that environment, because environment is so important. It's a critical part of development. And so if we're going to grow in capacity, and I talk a lot about capacity, we have things that we want to accomplish in our lives, whether we're over 40 or under 40. We have things that we want to accomplish, right? Goals, dreams, objectives, things that are important to us. And first we got to filter through it to make sure that's what God's actually doing, right? Because one of the things that we talk about here is you can live your life one or two ways. You can do a bunch of stuff and ask God to be your partner, and you'll find out. I learned through a lot of I got a lot of scar tissue on that God has no interest in being my partner, none. Okay, or you can find out what God is doing and then hook your wagon to that. What he's doing in the times, being like the sons of Issachar, knowing the times and the seasons of things, because God moves in seasons and times. But also, what is God doing in you? What is he doing through you? What is he doing in the communities that you are a part of? What is God doing? I had to ask that question, and December of 2018, I had been engaged in CBMC, running it for a couple of years. We had a soft launch in 15, and we had an official launch in 216, and now it's 218. And I was 59 at the time, and I was asking the Lord, Sandra and I were away having an anniversary, but we also used that time for planning in our marriage, for the year. And I was asking the Lord, what should I be doing? And this is a great question to ask. What should I be doing at this season of my life? Just because God gave us some things to do earlier doesn't mean that's what he still wants us to do. So I always tell people the importance about hearing from God, how to hear from God. Mike Schaffner's on here. A lot of our other men here, Andre Kennebrew. We've got Trey Wesley. We'll meet some of these guys, and Belzy Robinson. All these men have learned how to cultivate the voice of God in their lives. And so knowing how to hear from God, and that takes rhythms and intimacy with God, and having certain rhythms and that you build into your life, things that you do. I call it every and always. Jesus, as his custom was, did this. There's certain things that we have to do over time to create positive momentum in our lives. And so I was seeking the Lord about this, and what should I be doing at this season? And the Lord spoke to me very clearly, you know, from inside. And he said, I want you to pour yourself out to the next generation. He said, anything that's not directly involved in that, I want you to phase it out your life. So that's what I started doing. I had a couple of nonprofits I was leading that I resigned from. I had a couple of ministerial organizations. I've been involved in ministry for many, many years. I preached my first message. You know, we call it trial sermon in December 31st, 1975. And I've been involved. I served as a pastor full-time 25 years. I've also had been in the business side as an engineer, and I had a digital marketing company, you know, for a small company for a few years. So I've been involved and been around this for a while and serving. So I had a couple of nonprofits I was leading. I resigned from a couple of ministry organizations. I resigned from that. My digital marketing company, I closed that down. And then I took CBMC that was really, you know, I would say, you know, reaching a lot of people, but had a more, I guess, broader range focus. And I kind of readjusted it. Nobody in this country was really doing it like this. There was a few here and there, and I readjusted around reaching young professional men. Not saying that we don't care anything about guys over 40. Obviously, without the mature professionals, we can't serve the young professionals. So of course, but making that, as I said, at the tip of the spear. And the other thing that I wanted to make a part of the culture was a diverse community that wasn't, it wasn't white, black, you know, it was white, black, you know, Asian, all these different cultures coming together under one kingdom culture being our first filter. So I wanted to create that environment. And that culture, if you will. And so as soon as I readjusted things like that, things really began to explode. Things began to grow up. Why? Because I had my wagon hooked to God's wagon. You know, and when it's not hooked to God's wagon, you're doing it all yourself. And you got to do all the heavy lifting. I don't know about you all. I just worked out here just a moment ago. You know, heavy lifting is okay, but sometimes it can get really hard to lift, and you can hurt yourself. And that's why people burn out. That's why people get discouraged, depressed. That's why they want to end their lives and do all these crazy things and get involved in all these vices and sins. And they start medicating themselves because they're trying to do it themselves.
Yep.
You see, and what we want to do is we want God to do the heavy lifting, you know. And so when we align ourselves with what God is doing, then that begins to happen. I want to share a couple more things, and then I want to open up for some questions. But I'm going to have James Chow talk to us a little bit. James, as I said, is one of our guys, and actually he can share what he's doing in CBMC now. But James, kind of share your story a little bit, what you do, and kind of how this came about and what's happening.
Oh, thanks, John. As usual, this is on the fly. I was not notified to share. But so I am a financial planner at Northwestern Mutual and focus on insurance. As far as, you know, I started my career 5 years ago, and I met John 4 years ago during COVID, right when it started, like 3.5 years ago. And, you know, it's a lonely business. It's you know, being a young man, especially when all that COVID stuff happened. It was great to connect, a great community. It's really helped me personally grow a lot. You know, my fellow gentleman here says that I became more vulnerable, which is one of the hardest things for me to do. You know, what I really enjoy is the personal growth and development. Really grounds you as a man. You know, growing up, I grew up in a Christian family. My dad's a pastor and a missionary. And up until 18, I was great at Bible study and went to church every Sunday. So 0 to 18 was great. 18 to 36, I was away. I was gone. I was a lost child. You know, I was very resentful. And I questioned a lot of things, and I was out there, and really, I just, I think young men need this. This is why I really feel passionate about what we do here. Personally, I like to, I'm trying to get into the leadership role in my organization, coaching and mentoring young financial advisors. And it's funny when John mentioned, to help build a team here while I'm building a team there. It's like, wow, maybe this is a calling, and really recruit young people and develop them. That's something I feel passionate about. I'm not my age, I'm not a YP anymore. I kind of graduated the age, but I really enjoy, but I don't have enough experience like some of you experienced people have. So, it's really humbling for me to learn and grow, but also to share with the next generation. So I feel passionate about recruiting. My goal is to, when we first started, it's like, John, I can get you 2 young professional in every one of your groups and chapters. And I've probably brought in over a dozen young adults, and quite a few of them are still here, and they're really involved in the community. I'm really excited and hope all of you guys can help pray and support that. I'm taking on a challenge to really start a facilitating to start. It's all good. So I talked to our managing partner in Buckhead, and we can use our office space as a new venue. And I got really excited. I brought John, checked out the place. It's beautiful, 12th floor in the middle of Buckhead. And I felt like, I would love to lead a group of young guys to be able to pour into them and share my testimony, and because I see the value in this. And I wish I'd known about this earlier. I know I hear that from a lot of sage, and me being 42, I'm like, man, I wish I heard about this 32. I wouldn't have wasted 10 years of my life. So I'm really excited. So I hope you guys all pray for the Buckhead chapter and all the other chapters. And Mike is coaching and guiding me through, preparing me for this. And Mike always says, just gotta put it out there and let God take over. So that's kind of, I guess, my story of how I started and where we're going.
Thank you, James. A couple more things I want to say is, as each year, this is a 3-year program, and I'll give you some steps of learning more about it. This has more been to give you just a little information, more of a 10,000-foot view, have you have some experience, listen to some of the young men and some of the sages, we call it, seasoned action-oriented godly executives. But one of the things that has come up quite a bit is the need for providing something for their wives and the significant other women in their lives. And so Sandra and I, my wife Sandra, she's on today, we've been working on CBWC as an offering under CBMC. And as we roll this out, our first step is we're looking for mature business women, professional business women who'd be willing to be mentors. And we do already have a mentoring program, a mentoring training system. We have some of our guys on here have been mentors. Melzy is one of them. There are some other guys on here that have mentored. But we are looking, if you're interested in that, let Sandra know about that, because we're looking for women. We're going to provide training for you. We're going to definitely serve you and build your life. And then what we're asking is, as we're building you, then help us with the women that are in the lives of these young men. And then, as I'm sure they'll open up to other women. The other thing that we'll be launching on the women's side is it's called Connect 3, which is a weekly marketplace ministry small group. So we'll be talking about some of those things. One more thing before I show you the CBMC model of how we build this, I want to bring up 2 gentlemen. One would be Melzy Robinson, who has served as a mentor. He's also one of my advisors that has been very instrumental in helping me. But Melzy, could you take just a moment and tell what you do, and as a mentor, just kind of what you're observing, and why do you make yourself available?
Well, the why, Melzy Robinson, the why is, when I got started at 12 years old, a gentleman came down from Bible school to our community. And the short story is I was cussing like a sailor, but got blessed and got into Bible study and got converted, accepted Jesus Christ in my life at that young age. So I know the impact of what God has done for me, and I want to pass it forward and do the same for others. And this YP is just a God sent. I'm a marketplace minister myself. God told me to bring God to the boardroom in businesses. I do management consulting, help companies with their profitable growth from a supply chain and revenue growth side. So marketplace ministry is what I do, and this just tied right in when I was just like what James and Devin said. It's like, where have I been? I mean, I've been looking for you all my life. So fits right in. I gotta say that my wife Diane, well, at the breakfast, she met James and Devin, and she was very impressed with these gentlemen. It doesn't take to get her impressed, it takes a lot. So my hat's off to these guys, and she was very impressed. And I can always come out and play with this group because she believes in the mission. So I just wanted to put that out there. And what else you wanted me to cover? The mentoring. Mentoring?
Yes, the mentoring. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the mentoring. Exceptional young man here. I just feel so blessed to be a part of the process and knowing that it's a legacy being built here. These gentlemen just that's taking it by storm, transforming the world and not being conformed. They're a model of it. And you just meet with them occasionally and at minimum monthly while you're doing the coaching and praying with them and just seeing them live their life out loud and listening to the Lord as he guides you, sharing stories and what you're going through. My wife and I have been married 38 years, so I can share, don't step over there. I've done that. Just like I stepped on that rake. Can't you see the bloody nose I had? So I can kind of guide them on what not to do in that regard. So it's just been a blessing, gentlemen. I grow along with the gentleman. I grow when God tells me things to do. So I'm just really excited, and I'm so happy to know that I'm hitched up to where God is going. And I just wanted to let everyone know the last thing is the gentleman Luke Hetland, who is the North Georgia Field Director for the Lieutenant Governor Office. Went up to him at the breakfast, and he's interested in being in the YP program. And John is meeting with him and connecting up with him. And so just being in where God is going, we haven't seen anything yet. I mean, I'm so happy to be with this band of brothers here, and I'm just so excited about where God is going. And my wagon is hitched full 100%.
Yeah, he's stuck wagging the God's wagon. That's a good strategy. How do you all agree that's a good strategy? It's a good strategy. Hook your wagon to God's wagon, man. What is God doing, right? And when we walk into that, life is pretty magical, actually. Mike Schaffner is one of my very good friends, and Mike has come on to help me build out this young professional ministry. If I can say it this way, you can work in your ministry, but you also need to work on your ministry or your business, in your business, on your business. And Mike is doing such a great job already in working in the YP ministry, and there are other areas. He's on our leadership team, but it's given me now the time to work on things. So Mike, just come in and share just a little bit about yourself and really what's going on as you see it. Did we lose Mike? I think I saw Mike there. Mike, did you go somewhere? Okay. All right. Well, we'll come back to Mike. I don't know what happened there to Mike. Let me do this. I want to show you all our funnel. This is the proven process that CBMC has. And I want to take a minute here and I want to show you, make sure that you can see this here. Let me make it big enough for you to see it. Should see it pretty easily here. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So what this shows you is we start with events. So the prayer breakfast that we have with 500 plus people in attendance is fantastic, but it's an event. And one of the things I learned as a John Maxwell coach and trainer and speaker is people overestimate the event, but they underestimate the process. They overestimate the event and they underestimate the process. So the event was wonderful. God really moved. A lot of wonderful things happened. All the different folks that were there. But it is an event. So now what we want to do is move people into the process. And this process, if I were to put a word by the second stage, it would be community. So we want to bring people from an event, and we want to move those people into community. And we have 3 offerings to bring people in community. And these offerings are now active in our young professional program for men, but it will also be available as we roll out our young profession, our program for women. So it's the young professional program, which is for under 40. And then we have a program called Trusted Advisor Forums. And this is for people that actually over 40. And we do have a few what we call YPs in those groups because we want to keep YP in front of it since that's the tip of the spear. But if you are a professional and you have a business or you have some kind of a profession, then this is an ideal opportunity for you to be ministered to be encouraged, to learn, to grow with other individuals, other men. If you're dealing with men, other women, you're dealing with women, to really grow in your business, but do it in a holistic way, right? Grow in your business, grow in what it means to be a Christ-centered executive. What does that look like? The power of a spiritual board of advisors where people can help you build out your business, and you can bring confidential questions and issues to that group, and that sense of community that we have. So that's for over 40. And then for both under and over 40, and let me say this, in the young professional program, the Trusted Advisor Forum, you need to be a Christian, a Christ follower. But in this other offering, you don't have to be a Christ follower. In fact, part of the purpose of that offering is to help people become Christ followers. It's called Connect 3. And this is all in this community section. So Connect 3 means connect to God, connect to one another, and then connect to the cause of the gospel. And this is a weekly meeting. Those other 2 meetings are monthly, but this meeting is every single week. And these are done virtually. They're done face-to-face. And they're also done in a hybrid version of that. So this is called Connect 3. And we have leaders who over those various areas. And if you want to know about those things, you can send an email to myself, jposey@cbmc.com, and say, John, what I'd like to know about this. I am going to give you a link in just a moment that you can look into the Young Professional Program if you want to help, you want to serve, or you want to be in the program, or I talked to somebody the other day that they have a couple sons out in the in the Marietta area, out beyond beyond Alpharetta area. So if you have a son or nephew or coworker or somebody that's under 40, they can learn about this. And so I'm going to send a link that'll explain the Young Professional Program in detail. We did what's called an info session. And then we have another link that'll explain what it means to be a mentor. If you want to be a mentor, again, if we have women on here, you want to be a mentor to young women, the mentor program will apply to both men and women. Okay. So we want to move people from events then into community, and then from there, the next step, we're talking about a funnel, is we move people into life on life. There's nothing more powerful than one person leading another, one person building another, one person mentoring another, one person bringing transformation of the gospel to another person. There's nothing more powerful than that. And so CBMC, we've been doing this for decades. It's called Operation Timothy. To our women, we call it Operation Ruth. And we actually have a weekly training session on this every Monday morning called Discipleship Monday. And again, if you want to learn about that, we can help you here. But we train you how do you make disciples? What does that look like? What are the principles? What are the things that we cover? What are things we need to understand? A lot of people don't really know how to do this. But CBMC has been doing it for literally for decades and decades, and it's a masterful art of making disciples. Jesus has called us to do this, and for many people in churches, we've been keepers of the aquarium instead of fishers of men, and God has called us to not just keep the aquarium. He's called us to fish and to be fishers of men and women and bring people into the gospel and make disciples. And this is what 2 Timothy talks about 2:2. Matthew 28 talks about this. Go into all the world, make disciples of all nations, not converts, disciples of all nations. And we are very strong. The discipleship is literally the DNA of CBMC. And then we move you from events to community, to life on life, and then ultimately to becoming a spiritual reproducer. We want Paul to become a Timothy. We want a Ruth to become a Naomi. So this is and so that's the process. So everything that we do is to that end. We want to deploy, train, equip wise marketplace. We call the term marketplace ambassador, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 18, that we are now ambassadors, the Bible says, to Christ. And we're to reconcile men to God. That's our calling. And God has called us to do that. So we really train and develop others to do that. So I wanted to take a moment, and I wanted to give you kind of an overview. And towards the end of the call here, we're going to, in actually just a few minutes because we're close to the end, but we're going to put a couple of links out here. Mike, looks like you're back. Could you share a little bit?
John, just sorry for the interruption, but I don't know if you saw the question in the chat.
Oh, okay. Let me look at it. Okay. Let's see. It's hard for me to read this here.
It says, what about older men who have never
yes.
been? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, CBMC, the question is, what about older men who've never been mentored and have no concept of where they should end and what they are candidates for? Exactly. So first I would say, hey, let's have a conversation. We have ambassadors here on our call. One of these individuals, his name is TJ Davis. He's an ambassador. TJ, just put your contact information out here. But listen, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation, and we can help you wherever you. CBMC meets a person where you are. We say meet a man where he's at, and help him to become the man that God has called him to be. So that's what we do, and we do it very, very well. All right, Mike, share a little bit about yourself and kind of what's going on right now.
So sorry about that. My internet disconnected, so I got knocked off. I don't know what was going on, but so my life has been about discipleship. I came to know Christ in middle school, and the pursuit has been after pouring into men for the last closing in on 40 years. I had a career in the emergency room as a pediatric emergency room physician, which I retired from a little over a year ago. And then God just brought the hearts of John and I together. We are partnering, especially on the YP and the Connect 3, and the goal is that John is going to be working on it while I work in it. So my role is going to be more facilitating, like Chow said earlier. I'm mentoring Chow to take the role of facilitating a group. I'm doing the same thing with Fish. Doing the same thing tonight. We're having our inaugural with Peachtree Corners with Jason Davis, and Dick Knight's on here. He's going to be our actual sage speaker at it. So we're looking forward to that. There are big things going, and what I can say is it's almost every day I'm meeting young professionals all over the place that are saying, I want to be a part of this. So we could use your prayers. We're looking for the mentors. We're making connections. We're doing some tweaking. It's all about kingdom building. It's all about him first. And that's kind of where my heart's from.
Thank you, Mike. And in fact, this weekend, we listened to our young men. They said, John, we like to be able to be in this program, but we like to meet each other, in a non-threatening and fun environment, get to know each other, maybe do some team building, so that we really get to know each other before we actually start our year. So that being said, we put this in place. We now have a annual retreat, and that'll be this weekend at Camp Grace. If you've never heard of Camp Grace, it's a wonderful organization, thecampgrace.com. Very dear friend, his name is David Prymore. He actually was discipled through CBMC and is doing an amazing job with at-risk kids, over 400 acres there. And we're going there tomorrow to have an entire weekend together. Well, not the whole weekend. We'll come in on Friday at 12 o'clock and then end at 6 o'clock Saturday, excuse me. But these guys are going to do team building. They're going to have some great time together, fun together, all zip lines and swings and all kinds of team building exercises and fun, and just it's going to be an amazing time. Some vision casting, so that's what's going on. So folks, looks like the time is up and we got about 2 minutes left. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to do some more things here, but I will tell you this. I just put in 2 links, and those links, one link is to learn about our Young Professional Program, and the other link is to learn about our mentoring. So what I would like for you to do is send an email to Jay Posey, jposey at cbmc.com. Could you do that now? And just give me your comments. What are some things you enjoyed about what was shared? Maybe your questions that you have for us. This is a process, so we know we can't get it all done at once. We're just so grateful that you've come and you came to our prayer breakfast and really made it what it is. And I did send out an email, and I do want to encourage you to patronize our sponsors. Sponsors make this thing happen, and I did send out an email regarding that. And again, thank you so much for making this our first inaugural event an absolute success. Somebody said, well, John, you kind of set a high bar during your first event. I said, well, the Lord is doing what he's doing, and we're just going to let God. So I'm going to close this out on time. We've got Dick Knight, who's got one of our speakers. He'll be our speaker for our Gwinnett County team out there in Peachtree Corners. Dick, I want to thank you for being a part of this, and I want to ask you to close us out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, John. So we'll take this to the Lord. Father, we acknowledge that you order our days, and you know the hair on our heads, Father, and you certainly understand this mission. Your hand is upon it, and we give it all to you. In the name of your Son and precious Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Yes, everybody, we're gonna send this recording out to our list, and thank you so much. Share